you felt it 100 times. A spoonful of ice cream, a gulp of a slushie, a long sip of something freezing. And then, bam! A sharp electric pain right between your eyes. It lasts maybe 10 seconds. You wince, you wait, it fades. You go right back to eating. But here's the strange part. Your brain itself can't actually feel cold. It has no temperature sensors at all. So what exactly is freezing? And why does your face feel like it just got punched from the inside? The truth is weirder than the nickname suggests. Because brain freeze isn't really about your brain. It's about a tiny panic button hidden in the roof of your mouth, and your body is reacting like something has gone seriously wrong. Let's slow it down. The moment that cold hits the roof of your mouth, you trigger a cluster of nerves sitting just above it. Scientists call this region the sphenopalatine ganglion, which is a mouthful, so let's just call it the panic switch. This little bundle of nerves is normally quiet. It mostly handles boring jobs like managing blood flow to your face and sinuses. But it has one very dramatic flaw. It sits right next to one of the biggest highways of feeling in your entire head, the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is the same nerve responsible for migraines, toothaches, and that zap you feel when something hits your funny bone, but on your face. It is, in other words, not a nerve you want to annoy. And freezing cold on the roof of your mouth annoys it instantly. Here's where it gets clever and a little ridiculous. When that cold lands, your body suddenly worries about one specific thing, your brain getting too cold. So it does something almost cartoonishly protective. The blood vessels in your head rapidly clamp down, then quickly swell back open to rush warm blood toward your skull. It's basically a tiny emergency heating system kicking on. Your body is trying to defend the most important organ you own. The problem is that sudden change in blood flow presses on the trigeminal nerve. And the trigeminal nerve doesn't really speak in subtle whispers. It speaks in lightning bolts. So your brain gets a frantic message that something is very wrong, somewhere. But here's the catch. Your brain is genuinely terrible at locating pain coming from deep inside your head. It can pinpoint a splinter in your fingertip with incredible precision. It cannot, however, tell the difference between ouch, my mouth, and ouch, my forehead. So it just guesses. And it almost always guesses wrong. This is called referred pain when your brain feels something in one place but blames a completely different place. That's why a frozen palate ends up feeling like a knife between your eyebrows. The cold is in your mouth, but the pain shows up upstairs. Your face is essentially being framed for a crime your tongue committed. Right now, try to remember the last time it happened to you. You probably pressed your tongue to the roof of your mouth without even thinking about it. That instinct is older than you realize, and it actually works because your warm tongue is the fastest way to reheat the panic switch and shut the whole alarm down. Most brain freezes only last between 5 and 30 seconds. That's not because the cold disappears. It's because your blood vessels relax back to normal, and the trigeminal nerve stops screaming. The whole event is basically a tiny weather system inside your skull. Now here's a question worth pausing on. If brain freeze is just a glitch, why do we even have it? Because evolution rarely keeps a reflex around for no reason at all. And researchers actually have a fascinating theory about this one. The leading idea is that brain freeze isn't a glitch, it's a warning. Your brain is one of the most temperature-sensitive organs in your entire body. Even small changes in its core temperature can affect how you think, move, and survive. So your body evolved a kind of early alarm. Anything dangerously cold near your head triggers a sharp, unmistakable pain. A pain so annoying you immediately stop doing whatever caused it. In a world without freezers, ice machines, and gas station slushies, that alarm probably saved lives. If your ancestors were drinking from a frozen stream or eating snow, the sting of a brain freeze would tell them to slow down. Pause before you cool your blood too much. Don't chill the one organ that's keeping you alive. It's basically your body shouting, "Hey, that's enough." The problem is, your nervous system never got the memo that you now have a freezer full of popsicles. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Not everyone gets brain freeze. Studies suggest roughly a third of people barely experience it at all, while others get hit almost every single time. Scientists aren't entirely sure why, and this is one of those areas where the research is still genuinely open. Some studies hint that people who get migraines may be more prone to brain freeze, possibly because their trigeminal nerve is already more sensitive. But this is still debated, and the link isn't fully understood. So if you're someone who feels every single frozen sip like a tiny lightning strike, your nerves might just be extra communicative. Congratulations, you have a very expressive face nerve. There's another quirky detail most people miss. The speed at which you eat something cold matters more than how cold it is. A slow lick of ice cream rarely triggers it. A fast gulp of a milkshake almost always does. That's because the panic switch reacts to a sudden temperature drop, not a gradual one. Your nerves don't care about cold itself, they care about change. It's a little like jumping into a cold pool. The water isn't more painful than the air around it, but the sudden shift is what makes your body gasp. Your mouth does its own version of that gasp, and your forehead pays the price. Which brings up a fun little experiment you can run on yourself. Next time you eat something freezing, try keeping it on the front of your tongue and away from the roof of your mouth. You'll often dodge the brain freeze entirely. Move it to the roof of your mouth, and you'll feel that nerve light up like a switchboard. You're basically poking your own panic button on demand. By the way, quick question before we go deeper. Have you ever gotten a brain freeze from something that wasn't even that cold? Maybe a regular smoothie or just air on a winter morning? I'd genuinely love to know, drop it in the comments. Some people seem to have a hair trigger version of this reflex, and I'm curious how common that really is. Now back to the weirdness. Here's something that surprises almost everyone. Brain freeze is one of the few pains scientists can reliably create and stop in a lab. It's fast, predictable, and harmless, which is why researchers love studying it. It's essentially a controlled migraine simulator. By watching what happens during a brain freeze, scientists can learn how the trigeminal nerve behaves, how blood vessels in the head react under stress, and how the brain interprets pain it can't quite locate. In a way, every slushie is a tiny science experiment. You are, briefly, a volunteer in your own laboratory. And there's one more layer that ties it all together. That sharp pain you feel isn't damage. Nothing is actually being injured. No tissue is freezing, no nerve is breaking, no part of your brain is harmed in any way. It's purely a signal, a message your body sends to make sure you stop. Which means brain freeze might be one of the only pains you experience that is 100% protective and 0% destructive. It hurts so that nothing else has to. And that's kind of beautiful in a weird slushy flavored way. So let's zoom out for a moment. Inside your head, there's a quiet little switch sitting on the roof of your mouth. It's wired to one of the most powerful nerves in your body. It exists to protect the most important organ you own. And every time you sip something cold a little too fast, you're poking a reflex that was probably keeping your ancestors alive long before ice cream ever existed. Your modern dessert is meeting a very ancient alarm. And the alarm doesn't care that you're at a birthday party. It just does its job. So the next time you take that one greedy bite of ice cream and feel that sharp little zap behind your eyes, you'll know exactly what's happening. Your brain isn't freezing. It's being defended dramatically by a panic switch in your mouth and a nerve that doesn't know how to whisper. It's not a flaw. It's a feature you inherited. A tiny built-in bodyguard that yells before it thinks. If your brain just lit up with one of those wait, really one moments, you'll probably enjoy where we're going next. So hit that subscribe button and stick around for more weird truth hiding in your own body. A like helps more people find these little mysteries too. And tell me in the comments, what's the worst brain freeze you've ever had and what were you eating when it hit? I'll see you in the next one.